Our generation isn't turning away from the world's problems. Watch us fly ahead, rise to every challenge, and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Yo, welcome back to the Rally Cry Collegiate Series Playoff Bracket. Relic and Galgan with you in the house. A house of ruckus and sweeps, mostly speaking, that is. A round of 16, where a number of teams have already fallen into the lower bracket. A team which has already fallen out of the bracket in its entirety, Galgan. There we were, thinking a full reset of the mentality for University of New Haven. Decided to forfeit their match in the lower bracket. But never mind them. We're sticking up in the upper bracket with Terps and OC Esports. Now, they faced each other before. It was week number 1. Terps lost 4-0, but we reckon that it might be a lot closer this time around.
We do. We certainly do. There are thoughts that it could be closer. I don't know if I am as convinced as I could be, but the point still remains. Terps have gotten stronger as the weekends have gone on. That much is true. We haven't really been able to watch Oklahoma Christian, at least in the context of this Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the Army National Guard. They've been playing in other tournaments as well outside of this, some show matches and whatnot. They have been, or rather, Boise State has been living rent-free inside the heads of Oklahoma Christian for quite some time as it's sort of a boogeyman matchup, but they won't have to worry about Boise State theoretically for a couple more rounds. Here, instead, you laid it out perfectly. There is history between these teams in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. Oklahoma Christian did not drop a game on their conquest to win one weekend and peace out until playoffs. Let's see if they can do it again against the Terps Esports side that has theoretically gotten stronger as they've gone along. Have they learned enough to right the wrongs of week 1, or is this another trip for Oklahoma Christian? Easy one further into the upper bracket.
One of the rare 4-man rosters that's utilized to its maximum. Terps Esports as well, running Hexy Turtle and JD Knight on this initial run out. Boog waiting in the wings, presumably, if they feel that he is required. By the way, Boise State still not done with that series against Maryville, so possibly going the distance. Oh, Hexy almost went the distance into the back of the net there. The post denying him the first real proper opportunity for the team running in blue right now, but it's going to be Chile! Lots of exclamation marks on the back of that and an exclamation mark pointer to start off this game number 1.
We'll look to swap around the logos at the top. I believe we've got Terps Esports on the blue side and Oklahoma Christian on the orange right now.
Correct.
But the point still stands. I mean, if you want to talk about the abilities of these players and what they're capable of, we've seen in the most recent RLCS split that just wrapped up for North America heading into the major, a couple of appearances from these Oklahoma Christian rosters. You had G-Man on G-Buffo making a main event appearance, which is always fantastic to see. Chili playing on Fear My Chili Lightly, I believe, was the team name in RLCS, so absolutely incredible. Chicken as well. I cannot remember. I know he was on a roster that made it just barely outside of a day 3, if I remember correctly, but still solid results from all 3 of these players. They clearly have it within themselves to pull off anything they set their minds to. It's all on Terps to try and shake up those expectations.
Terps have a tenacity, though. That's the phrase I've been going back to. Terps have a tenacity. And although they are currently 1-0 down, they certainly have the ability to get... I mean, goodness, they arguably should have been leading for that Hexy chance, but for the woodwork. If only the goal had been a little bit wider, Chili bullying JD Knight. They need to make the goal any wider when it's wide open, but no chance forthcoming. G-Man sensible off the backboard. Maybe he got a call off, and it was a call off from Chili. That's going right to the back of the net. Not Chili. My apologies. It's the Chimkin Dinner.
Chimkin Dinner. Fantastic. Nice eats there. Again, Oklahoma Christian with the 2-0 lead going on early into this. I've got to touch on this now, Relic, because it just popped up and we have to point it out. The laptop LAN diff is real for Maryville University. They've squeaked out a Game 7 win over Boise State. That'll propel them into the upper bracket further, which I'm sure they are ready to play more of this on top of the LAN there at G-Man, though, tacking on more for Oklahoma Christian.
Yeah, JD Knight, not much you could do there. I think he actually does very well with the limited options available. It's just a brilliant reaction from G-Man to drop it down the Salt Bay pinch 3-0. Terps getting absolutely buried in these opening stages. Here I was with some hope, some optimism for them, but this OC roster is now certified RLCS caliber, and you can't be making mistakes like that. Hexy with a crucial interception, double commit breaks down the play, but not for long enough because there's Chimkin to throw it right back into the blue third. Chili round the corner, double commits on the backboard. Terps are all over the place.
I have to say, one of the most relatable moments I've seen all tournament long from a player through a turtle. Just watching the ball go by and knowing it's helpless. There's nothing I can do here. But at the end of the day, it's still an uphill battle. Chimkin is going to follow through, and Chili taps it home. It looks too easy for Oklahoma Christian right now.
Solid oof moment. The number 3 seeds up against the number 6, but we're starting to see why that seeding doesn't exactly tell the whole story. OC Esports rocked up, rocked the boat, and then just didn't appear again until today. In fact, actually, they did appear once again, but that was in a tiebreaker match with Boise State, as you previously mentioned, Galgan, inside their heads right now. Boise 3-0 victory in what was a rare best of 5 in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. Nevertheless, OC Risking are pretty cracked as a squad, and they are showing and demonstrating to all of us right now why they should be feared. Terps showed no mercy. Simply put, they've got to take their chances when they arrive, because otherwise these sorts of results are going to become a lot more frequent.
So still within the first game of this best of 7 and hoping to break some habits right now, Terps, as they've advanced to this stage, courtesy of a fairly easy series, I guess, by the stat line and the score line against Thomas College, but not so here against OC. 4-0 the score just in game 1 alone, as the ball sent back towards Oklahoma Christian's area, but it doesn't stay there for very long, and a redirect makes JD Knight jump into action much earlier than the rest of Terps and the defense would like to do, but they're getting the ball played every which way except for into their hands, and it's clearly a recipe for disaster. They're finding every single way to stretch out here.
Just look at the confidence, or lack thereof rather, of Terps Esports, where they are continually placing 2 players in defense, looking to help them, or to help each other try and break out of the backline, and yet, even 2v1, OC Esports has them eating out of the palm of their hands. It all seems so easy for OC. And we were talking about mental resets earlier in the case of the New Haven Chargers. I think a mental reset required in between games 1 and 2 now. Terps have definitely got the ability to make this a lot closer than what it's looking like. Save of the day from Hexy, case in point. But man, look, when I said it before, Galgan, they're not going to get many shot opportunities against OC Esports. They're just not. So when they do find themselves in the final third, when they do get a shot on target, they better make it count.
That's exactly the idea. You know, if it takes those miraculous saves just to get the ball clear, it's already 4-0. You have to start asking those questions of how you can get the ignition going earlier on. Make sure you show up to those first couple of minutes of the game. But I feel like in the context of what we've seen thus far for the matches on this stream, this is now our 5th game in a row where one team decisively looks stronger, they look better on the day, and there are a ton of questions that you can ask of Terps Esports. It's not like they haven't been in this position before. They've really had to grind for some of the later series in the closed qualifiers that they played, and let's not forget, they found themselves twice the victim of a Drexel Dragons team who was hot on the trot and managed to win back-to-back weekends in fantastic series. But at the end of the day, if they have those question marks about efficiency and closing out a series there, all of a sudden you put them up against a team like Oklahoma Christian, like Boise or Maryville, you start to ask a lot more questions.
Yeah, I don't know what you had going into this one, Galgan. For me personally, I was thinking 2 games would be a brilliant result for Terps. 1 game probably expected if OC let off the gas for a little bit. Otherwise, this, is a team that we are rightly expecting to be there or thereabouts in the top 4, maybe. I mean, goodness, they breezed through that week 1 opposition like they were absolutely nothing. So admittedly, although against the other quote-unquote top-tier teams, they might struggle, against this sort of opposition, all they've got to do is play the sort of Rocket League that we know they're capable of, and they shouldn't face too many trials and tribulations. But I wonder how different a game it would have been if Hexy had scored that opening chance, whether it would have rattled the Hornets' nest and they might have lost by even more, or whether it would have forced OC into a little bit more of an aggressive posture where they weren't so calm, rotating back to try and defend those counter initiatives from Terps Esports. Theory crafting, but interesting to think about nonetheless.
Right, there are chances abound for both teams, especially Terps Esports. They've got to find them, they've got to work a little bit harder for them than they perhaps would like to. But I feel like for me, it all starts from having possession. It's an easier ask than it is to perform such a feat, because Oklahoma Christian, these players know how to keep the ball away, take it to tricky spots, make sure the Terps don't have a chance to get to it. Even something like this, where everybody's committed far forward, it takes a real run of it just for anybody from Terps to touch the ball, and they still haven't done so in quite some time, despite all the demolitions. Forced now to make a save on the transition. That feels like a key difference in this particular series. How long can Terps keep the ball within their own ranks? Chili, goal of the tournament. Oh my!
You just had a feeling that he was ramping up for something. Every action in the 30 seconds that we've watched was decisive from Chili, handling it hard against the backboard, delivering it directly towards the opposition net, pulling out a worldie, but JD Knight should have made it not matter in the end. Oh, that is case and closed, I feel, on the problems that this Terps Esports roster currently has. We can't wait for Turtle to have his pop-off moment, Galgan. The others have to step up. And they do. JD Knight, instant redemption.
It feels like Terps Esports got 2 chances at a layup in comparison to Chili's slam dunk contest winning performance. Like that is the comparison that we're drawing here. And they fortunately are able to score here. They tie it up early and try to cancel out some of that momentum, some of that movement. But again, it takes a higher level of effort here from the University of Maryland. They've got to prove that they can score the opportunities best presented to them, because they've had their fair shake. It now comes down to a level of execution that you require from teams in the top 8 to get through in order to prove that they deserve to be here.
Good shout. I think oh no, that is a horrible mismatch of a challenge for JD Knight. From hero to villain, just comes at that from completely the wrong angle. Bumper pass! It's Rocket League basics, and Chimkin is handed a freebie 2-1.
Seeing so many players fall victim to that challenge off the kickoff. However, JD Knight gets it in a relevant spot, handled through the corner fairly well. You can see how Oklahoma Christian are happy to commit players close to the play, because they're just freestyling out here against Terps, who give them the space and set up potential to do so. Turtle with a nice read on this, took the early jump. Now JD with a decent chance at a redirect. Again, you can see the glimmers right here for Terps. They've certainly got chances. They have windows of opportunity that they can get through, but it's all in that execution. Now again down the field, Hexy off of JD looking for more. It's bobbled a bit by Chicken, and not quite in a very proficient way, but another challenge goes the way of OC to get another clear, and even less pressure exerted on this orange side.
The demo on Chipkin, it means that Terps have a moment of reprieve as OC Esports look to retreat out and are forced to do so via Chili. That's actually set up. Hexy goes for the top pocket. G-Man, good save. And that's another demo in the midfield. Chimkin getting his revenge on JD Knight. Hexy, that's a really smart stop. G-Man rides over the top of not one, but two. Hexy falls back again. Turtle near post, going for a short pass in field. Chili had to pull out. There's Chimkin again. Backboard, follow up near post, not going to go in. Unfortunate, good attempt. Another ricochet away, and that's a lovely extra touch from Turtle. What I love about OC Esports, going back to your original point to start off this series, Galgan, They don't even have the majority of possession, I don't think. But it's what they do with possession which is most important. They are so definitive in each and every of their actions that unless Terps are on it, they're not going to be dealing with it.
Feels like teams at a base level operate in the sense that they want to keep possession and they want to send shots on target. A higher level team like Oklahoma Christian and many of the other schools that we have in this tournament understand it's not always about putting the ball on net and making those opportunities go on target. It's more so about just keeping the ball away from your opponents, even if you have to back pass, if you have to go up high with the initial touch. As long as your teammates are on the same level of communication, they're able to read where you're going with the ball and you're not just taking it somewhere completely random for the sake of doing so. It turns into a very efficient system, and it's one that Oklahoma Christian own very, very well.
Chimkin of freedom of the land to throw it all the way down to the backboard, and that's a lost 100 pad there for Turtle, who hands it off to G-Man. Unfortunate, really tries to slip it underneath the crossbar, close but not close enough. Interception from Hexy. Chimkin, a little bit too much slice on that infield pass. Turtle, and it's chilly. There's JD Knight going up. Manages to meet the ball successfully. That's back up to JD Knight, actually. Quite ingenious. Going for a bump as well. For Hexy! Brilliance!
Somehow they get it to go. 35 to play. Turtle to JD. Connection high up in the corner, and it stuns all of OC. Chicken just waiting at the top of the box. Bright idea, but just a hair off of the flip. And that's all it takes. Terps back in it. They've got life again.
We've talked often about Terps and how they've had to react to their opponents. Hexy, if they're going up against opponents that they're going to have troubles with. Hexy's had to play that more defensive role, but that was the perfect call. The perfect time to move up, and JD Knight was trying to go for a cheeky near post shot there. Doesn't really come off for them, but Hexy's in the face of Chimkin once again, over one. All double commit, dangerous. A smart play from Hexy though, into the wanting hands of Turtle, but gives it straight back to Chili, who wins the challenge v2. JD Knight's got to slow this down. I think overtime, the best case scenario now for Terps, and they're not going to get it. Buzzer beater.
And it's Chicken down from above the bar. It gets a little bit of help on the way in, but you knew this opportunity was cooking up something. That ball would have gone in anyway without Hexy's touch, and it's going to be an escape from OT, and OC takes game 2.
Oh, that just felt like a lack of composure in the last couple of seconds from Terps. Just a little lack of composure. Get it across the line to overtime, and who knows, luck might favor you. Kick-off goal, you're laughing. But they always felt like they were fighting from behind over the course of that 5 minutes, Galgan. The good news in comparison to game number 1 is that they did successfully so. They managed to get it back to 2-2. Again, whether it was if it was brilliant for like the ingenuity of it, or brilliant because they kind of fumbled their way into a goal, whichever way you want to look at it, it shows that they are still able to put goals in the back of the net. But do they have that final step within them to be able to take the lead and hold it with distinction against a team that is just scoring for fun right now?
And I almost want to make the argument that on the opposite side of the field, if we know that Oklahoma Christian can score when they want to, seemingly, why does this game stay tied for so long? Why do we need a 0-second buzzer beater? Do you give more credit to the Terps Esports defense, or do you take away some credit from the efficiency of shot taking from Oklahoma Christian? I feel like that's both a bit of a loaded question and also a bit of an unnecessary question, because you know that anybody on Oklahoma Christian can take a shot, put it on target well enough. There's been some decent defending. It hasn't been, the most miraculous saves required. I feel like we're in a bit of a middle ground here where the defense is playing well enough to contest, but the offense, as you rightly pointed out, has to keep pace for Terps Esports. They have to provide as many, if not more, threatening opportunities that Oklahoma Christian are able to. So that's a good jumping off point for them to try and take a game back in this series, claw their way back in. It's not like they're necessarily out of it, though. It's a good regain to at least threaten overtime after being shut out in the first game, but Oklahoma Christian, they don't really know how to slow down, do they?
No, JD Knight gets a piece of it, but Chimkin goes straight for the head of Hexy. Has to go on a slight avoidance run, and those extra meters do add up. Not able to reach the ball in time to deny Chile from the opener. I want to bring us back to an early point in this broadcast, discussing the idea of it being a long day. We're going to be covering 4 best of 7s on stream here, and then it's not to say that every team will be playing 4 best of 7s. It's going to be, I guess, like in theory, a minimum of 1 with the New Haven Chargers piecing out before they were even able to play in the lower bracket. But the point stands for those teams that find success. This is going to be a long day at the office. 3 best of 7s if you're going to make it into the semi-final, potentially beyond. So maybe OC Esports just holding back the very best for when they are going to face the very best, because, well, Terps Esports aren't right now. This was a stroller.
Add on to that, again, it's 3 best of 7s if you make it all the way through the upper bracket. If you drop in the lowers at any point, you're playing an additional 4 best of 7 on the day, assuming that you make it to that top 6 that we're narrowing the field down to at the end of this day. So much at stake for both of these teams, and I don't want to keep having this conversation early days where it's like Terps Esports, you got to start thinking about the lower bracket, but OC have not slowed down. They're now up 2-0 within the first minute. They've got a 2-0 series lead. Everything's working in their favor. They don't look particularly phased, even playing this ball backwards, still keeping things relatively under control. The University of Maryland, it needs to happen offensively. We cannot overstate that. They've got to show us that they have the firepower, but there's your first real big miraculous save for Terps Esports.
I'm seeing a trio that's making the odd mistake, the odd miss, against the team that simply doesn't miss. Brilliant transition right to the backboard in the case of seconds. Chile lifts it up, toying with their food, it seems. Will the food find a chance to fight back? I guess the one silver lining for Terps is that OC has scored so early in the day that they've still got the lion's share of the game left to try and get themselves back on level ground. But my goodness, OC Esports look every bit the part of the favorites that we were expecting them to be.
Big trouble as the middle of the field feels very open right now for Terps Esports, but they cannot get it going. The other side sees Oklahoma Christian threatening a third. Chicken goes to the sidewall for a quick challenge. Turtle taps below. G-Man just to delay and keep it out of the path. And again, elevating that ball away from the carry zone for Terps Esports. Hexy with a good challenge that we've seen players fall victim to again. But Chicken redirects that one on target. Good early proactive stop. Hexy has a bit of clear air, but G-Man meets the challenge. Turtle trying to get this one underneath. Goes for the center pass, finds Hexy, but a huge resisting wall in G-Man.
And they're able to stay more conservative. I mean, G-Man's been stuck in net for maybe the last 30 seconds or so, venturing out here or there in between just to, you know, gather up a little bit of boost. But they are so confident in their midfield and in their aerial prowess that they simply don't need it. How Chile avoided the strafing run there and able to put together a save beats me. It's just the difference that this roster is putting down on the field. Less than 2 minutes left, Gary.
Trying to clean this one up. Oklahoma Christian bring it home. No real scares to speak of. Take that 3-0 series lead. Not do anything too bombastic. Chicken off the corner wall. We get blocked by Hexy, who wants a second. Not going to find it. As Chile blocks again. Oklahoma Christian getting stuck in this corner just a little bit. Still not looking particularly troubled. They're happy to stack up quickly as G-Man takes that over the top. No boost left, tries to poke him back into the ball, but it's taken aside. Chile puts a quick one on target, rings off the post, falling right back into the hands of G-Man, who's just been waiting ever so patiently in the corner. Terps Esports need to take advantage of this high stack from OC, but time's starting to run out.
OC positionally brilliant. You just see every challenge or every transitional play that they look to line up. Hold that thought. Okay, they're absolutely fine. They have less distance to travel. Terps is utilizing way more boost simply because they're looking to close down the play. OC Esports has already turned up, and even in a moment like this where it's slightly scary, 2v1 versus the keeper, 2v0 versus the keeper, I am stunned into silence.
It finally feels like it pays off for Terps Esports, but in the way that I don't think I've ever seen a team play as comfortably as OC when the ball is literally ringing off of your woodwork. Like, it's just There are so many close calls there for OC, and yet they seem completely unfettered. They finally pay the price, a la 1 goal here for Terps. They still need an equalizer with about 30 to play, but still, as unshaken as ever. OC threatened on the other side. Hexy tries to go back quickly, down to Turtle looking for JD cross. It's not going to happen yet.
I don't even know, the defense broke down. It's bizarre, but that is certainly complacency from G-Man and Chili. Turtle, that's going to hit backboard and fantastic. Oh my goodness, Chili, can you find this shot? Can you find this shot? Oh, it's a spicy meatball!
I just cannot believe what kind of a tear Chili is on right now. Like, you hit goal of the tournament earlier on in the series, and then you just do that for show. It's not fair. It's not fair to Terps Esports, and they clearly feel like they've been done wrong by it. But they've got 5 more minutes coming up to find a solution. It's the first of 4 in a row they need to take against this Oklahoma Christian side. Otherwise, it is a second best of 7 sweep in 2 matchups between these 2 teams. OC on triple match point.
Not so much Chili con carne as Chili Gon carved them up. He is absolutely unstoppable right now. But we were seeing in the dying embers of that particular game, Galgan, a side that was demonstrating ego, many double commits, and if you're going up against, I don't know, your Thomas Colleges, your MSUs, your Southern Miss Golds, maybe you find yourself in a situation where you can get away with that. Against Terps, I don't think you are. If I am the coach, I am I am berating them. Look at what you did in that last minute. Unacceptable. Get this across the line. Don't even give them a sniff, because this is going to be a statement win here in the quarterfinals if you can sweep Terps 4-0. You need as much momentum behind you as possible, because look, you're going up against UT Dallas or Oakland University in the next round should you get it across the line. That's a difficult matchup. You can't be getting away with complacency here.
It's not going to get any easier, and I do want to add on commiserations, of course, to our second eliminated team from this playoff bracket. It's Bowling Green State falling in a sweep to Boise State. I mean, listen, Bowling Green, they drop into lowers and they get either Boise State or Maryville. I feel as bad as I possibly can for the unluck of the draw. But again, thank you for playing in this series. Of course, New Haven being the first team eliminated, still waiting on a couple other results to roll in. But I think our series is probably one of the quicker moving ones. That being said, if we do see a step up from Terps Esports and we get more than 4 games in the series, I'm very happy with that reality. I am keen to see what next level Maryland can reach, but at the end of the day, if we have to have the same conversation about the Game 4 mental reset going into the lower bracket lock-in, maybe that's the case. But for Terps Esports, it feels like a very open-ended comp for them here in Game 4. They just have to throw everything they can at it.
They either lose or they start winning games. I mean, there is no in between. So you might as well go for it. Absolutely right. Also, on that Bowling Green State, sometimes the universe really does have it in for you. I don't know if you're superstitious, but they were unlucky seed number 13 as well. So maybe there are some forces in the universe worth paying attention to. But the only force on this field that we've seen thus far in this particular series has been OC Esports. Even this, a good opportunity for Terps, kind of squandered by the double commit. Musty into G-Man, looking for that third touch, not going to find it. Hexy with the save, Turtle shuffles it out of the blue half. 1v1, 1v2 takes a little too long. And this is my biggest gripe with Terps at the moment, Galgan, is that they have these opportunities to transition quickly, but they just don't take it. They don't have the confidence to immediately head into the opposition half, swipe away at that shot, stretch whatever defense is there. They meander, they take their time, and they allow OC Esports to rotate back comfortably.
I'm right there with you, because both of these teams get similar opportunities, but it feels like Terps Esports lack the venom that they need, the power immediately on that chance. Meanwhile, OC, they walk into the zone, they get one good chance, maybe that's the end of it. Turtle needs to score from this angle, and does. All right, what do we got going on here? What's the idea here?
Begins with C, ends with Y. the name of the game is complacency. It's an overcommit. It's an overcommit because OC Esports was, oh, look at us, we can win 4-0 against Terps Esports. This is exactly what I was worried about. Terps Esports, I'm going to say it outright. They've been the better team for the last minute and a half. They've been really trying. Their opponents have not. And you know what the worst thing is? Their opponents don't have to try, and they can probably still win this game. That's how good they are. But they're not going to win this game if Terps Esports continues to play as well as they are right now. They're soaking up the pressure. They're making the saves and the disruption plays when they need to, when they have to. They are putting their bodies on the line, and that is something to respect.
It would be a little bit funny if we went to 7 in this series. Not saying Terps Esports can't win it from there, but I mean, obviously, if they put themselves in that position, anything is possible. And we all know anything is possible in the great game of Rocket League. Off the bar goes Chicken. It's a little too easy when the ball's handed to you like that.
Terps just a little bit scared here. JD Knight and Heck, you can see there, like JD Knight has to make, he has to make the call near post. I'm up. Anything to indicate that he's going to be making that save. Hexy either doesn't hear the call, there is no call, and or he doesn't have any faith in his teammate to make that save. Loitering in front of net here, a shot opportunity goes a-begging yet again, and now OC Esports are able to throw it right down the other side of the field. Chimpkin on a plate for him, too easy, 2-1.
It's too simple. And again, so many people pushed up. Chicken just catches, collects, and that is beautiful efficiency on the finish. But Hexy just alone on an island. There's only so much you can do. Gotta fling yourself at the play. Not enough to get it clear. And the difference, again, in transitions, rears its ugly head for Terps Esports. They cannot shake that curse against them, although off the kickoff, a decent shout to the bar, but again, a high press off of the first shot with no real power to follow through. They immediately have to back it up again.
I just don't understand the thinking of Terps Esports. You found a successful formula and then, no pun intended, you turtled up, which is quite ironic given the Terps was quite an aggressive player. JD Knight completely isolated. Chimpkin absolutely cooks him. 3-1.
Trouble scenes brewing right now. Quick challenge, all it takes. JD Knight, I mean, again, you don't really want to harp on a defender too much, staying stationary down there. It somewhat makes sense for that opportunity. You don't really expect the challenge to come through. Pull off on the kickoff, and they may just find something out of it. A set play that works wonders.
The fake. My goodness, and then the composure from Turple, we were waiting for that aforementioned hashtag moment TM. Hexy puts it away, back to a 1-goal game. Not that that's going to work again, surely. Yes, they have to go for the regular kickoff. But here's G-Man, it's Turtle who's got to make the save 1v1! Oh, skilled!
And it's so hard to be happy for what they did on the prior kickoff because now G-Man just does this. It's the threat of what could have been. Turtle was playing to that far side because G-Man's flip would have sent the ball over there, but not finding it, it all falls apart. No amount of reaction time is going to save you from a situation like that if you're Turtle. It's a 2-goal lead yet again. Low bouncer finds its way down, but blocked aside before it crosses the goal mouth there as Terps Esports just under 90 seconds to find a solution and claw this series back.
Feels like a cat owner with a laser pointer on the floor. So much amusement for the owner, so much frustration for the feline. 2-goal game, sub 70 seconds. What can Terps Esports do to convince us? Well, OC Esports are trying to make the case as unconvincing for themselves as possible. Awful defense at the back, complete calamity.
There are only so many ways that you can make it really easy for your opponents to score, and I feel like that is the first example. Like, you open up the textbook, that is page 1, picture of that happening. Played it to the strong side for JD Knight, off of the challenge, different ideas of how you want to clear it from the back wall, but listen, job's not done. Still 1 goal to find. If OC are comfortable conceding that goal and letting things go to the 1-goal lead, they'll try to grab 2 back as soon as possible. And a save aside, what do you do in transition? You get blocked by Chicken on low boost. Doesn't matter, G-Man, 3 jumps, Chili jumped as well. I mean, OC feel as comfortable as ever, but they've got 30 seconds to slow things down.
That was the warning shot of all warning shots for Terps. If they lose another goal, They are done. They're going to the lower bracket. Oh my god. The power on that pitch. Irresistible, but it's actually set up a counter-attacking opportunity. No G-Mans on the backboard. Somebody was paying attention, and OC Esports are going to be delighted that they did. Another shot opportunity. That's going wide. Not enough power in any case. Hexy, there's a demo on Chile. Last chance saloon for Terps Esports. Far corner. Turtle keeps it up, but that's going backwards, not forwards. G-Man infield. JD Knight straight to Chimkin. This is going to be Hexy picking up the play, but that's Chile moving forward, forcing the entire press back. Spiked. It almost turns into a goal. It does turn into a goal. 5-3, 4-0 series. OC proceeds to the semi-finals of the upper bracket.
The level of confidence displayed by this roster to keep the ball up at 0 just because they can. They do not care that overtime is lying in wait. They've seen that story before, and they very much like the ending. It's Oklahoma Christian advancing in emphatic fashion towards those upper bracket semifinals. Big result for them. I mean, again, you go on past precedent there. They had a sweep over Terps Esports all the way back in week 1, and we asked this question in the green room before this series. Terps Esports feel like they have improved over the course of the 4 weekends of play. But again, you start to wonder against what teams. You know, a lot of these teams like Oklahoma Christian, they rock up for 1 week, they dominate, and then they leave because they know they have the points. You know, fair play to them. At the end of the day, Terps Esports got plenty of playing time against other competition in this particular event, but Oklahoma Christian feel like a different breed, and I think they proved it here, much the same as our prior series with the Pescados. It's an early sense of form that they'll need to continue if they want that upper bracket finals appearance.
Yeah, it was an early talking point, wasn't it, before the table seeding kind of got skewed by teams not turning up some weeks and then other teams turning up for all 4. And we had that sort of top echelon in mind of OC, of Boise, of Maryville, who admittedly didn't have a great week, the 1 week that they were in league play. We can see how good they are now. They beat Boise State 4-3, if you hadn't been convinced already by their, by their tournament play outside of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. And we were really asking, okay, there's clearly that group that sits in behind. They are a significant enough amount behind where we have this sort of top 4, maybe top 5. We were looking at UT Dallas as one of those teams potentially bridging the gap. I think that they are still a little bit behind the front runners now, but the other team that we were looking at, besides Drexel Dragons, of course, was Terps. And I didn't see any of the improvements that we saw across those 4 weeks here today. Now, a good point you bring up, Galgan. Is it just purely because of the quality of the opposition that they are going up against? Maybe. But I also feel that they're going to regret a couple of these games where the chances were there for them, or the defensive phases were in favor for them, and they didn't manage to make those moments count in their favor. And eventually that all built up to what we see here, a 4-0 sweep, which I think is a fantastic result for OC.
I do feel inclined to agree, though, on your point with Terps Esports, because in all the weekends that we saw them play, obviously, I like to talk about the identities of teams and how they best perform when they're working as well as they can. For Terps Esports, a lot of their play offensively circulated through Turtle specifically. And I think this particular series was a big drop down from what we got used to seeing in week 3 and week 4 of the closed qualifiers, where Turtle was on a tear. Everybody, Hexy and JD, were just dishing it straight to Turtle, and goals were as good as scored as soon as the ball got to the tip of that Octane. A different story this time around, a much, much different story. And Oklahoma Christian exposed a lot of the weaknesses in Terps' clinicality and efficiency that they really did not need exposed at a time like this. But I agree with your point. It feels like we're getting closer to a clear-cut top 4. Personally, I'd put Maryville 1, Boise 2, and then a little pocket with Oklahoma Christian, UT Dallas, and Oakland.
Yeah.
But those questions are yet to be answered. They will be answered very soon in the upper bracket should teams continue on forward. But for this particular match, it's a big step up for Terps to take to try and take down a roster like Oklahoma Christian. Clearly not ready to take that step just yet, but a lower bracket miracle run could be in the cards.
Totally agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting to see where Drexel Dragons actually places out. I think that in terms of that gulf we talk about between those top teams and everyone behind, I think the Drexel Dragons may be sitting at the top of that group. Maybe they're somewhere right in the middle, or maybe they have made the jump that perhaps the likes of UT Dallas have. We can see there in the confirmation of the results, OC 4-0 against Terps, who will drop down to go up against Michigan State in the lower bracket, of which we have confirmation of the first round of lower bracket matches. Not all of them sweeps. Obviously, Boise State taking down Bowling Green, Ohio State Gray with a 4-0 against Southern Miss Gold, and Thomas College, they do pick up wins in the playoff bracket. They pick up 2 against Cal, which I think is a stunning effort from them. I think they were right up against it, and maybe worrying signs for Cal, as they're actually going to be going up against the loser of Drexel Dragons Pescados, of which we don't know any other results in the upper bracket, Galgan. So I feel like it's going to be a bit more of a lengthier break before we head into coverage of the semi-final, but we do hope that you stay where you are, get up, stretch your legs, hydrate, all the important things, but be back here. Keep an eye on the clock, because the Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the Army National Guard will be back with you as soon as we can.
Our generation isn't turning away from the world's problems. Watch us fly ahead, rise to every challenge, and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.